Hi, everybody. We are live today. So, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Ksenia. My name is Ksenia Pro. I'm a photography educator, and here I teach you how to make 5K a month or more as a photographer and get fully booked. So, today we're going to be talking about one thing that I get asked a lot. And the number one question that people ask me, especially like beginner photographers asking me, what kind of camera do I need to buy? If I receive another message like that, if I get like a penny for every message that I receive like that, I would be like a billionaire right now. Hi, everybody who's joining me on Instagram, on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching today. If you guys have any questions, I suggest that you leave them to the last because we're going to be talking about the content and just some things that I wanted to kind of like talk to you about today. And if you have any questions about today's episode or any other photography related or business related questions, I'll be happy to answer once we're done with the content. So again, for those of you who are joining just now, welcome to my live series that is called Coffee with Ksenia. Here we're talking about photography and business of photography, and I'm teaching you how to make at least 5K a month and get eventually fully booked as a photographer. My name is Ksenia Pro. I'm a photography educator, and today's topic is we're going to be busting this belief that you don't have photography clients just because you don't have a good enough camera. Okay? Because like I said, if I get at least 1 penny or $1 per every message that I receive that's asking me, Ksenia, which camera do I need to buy? I want to be a photographer. And you know what my answer is? Can you guess, you guys? What is my answer on those questions? So just type it in the chat either on Instagram or on YouTube. Honestly, if you ask that question yourself or somebody else, my question is you can buy any camera that you have, the budget for. Because honestly, all of the cameras, especially now the modern cameras, they can take decent enough pictures. So in the end of the day, it's not about the camera. And a lot of photographers already do know that, but still in the back of your mind, you feel like you need to have the top equipment to be even like considered or called the professional photographer. Okay. So today, again, we're going to be busting that common belief that you have and you can't book the photography clients, your first clients, until you get like the top-notch equipment that is better than somebody else's, for example. We're not going to be talking, I'm not going to give you an advice on which exact camera to buy because I have no idea what your budget is, what you can afford. And like I said, any decent camera will do for now, especially if you already have a camera, just use it. You don't have to buy a new one in order to get photography clients, okay? And also, I'm not going to be talking about how to get your first photography clients because we already kind of talked about it in one of the previous episodes, and I'm going to be doing so many more of those lives. So we're just going to break it down to like one small topic for each time so we can stay on topic and get as much value as possible from each of the videos. So instead, we're going to be talking, and I'm going to try to help you fix your mindset around your camera equipment. And like my idea is to actually get creative and do the best that you can with the equipment that you already have and start booking clients until you can invest into something better. Okay. So, but in order to do that, you have to fix your mindset around owning the equipment. So instead of, trying and running to get the top of the line camera, for example, I want you to focus on what you have. And once you do that and you kind of like let go of that desire to have the best of the best of the best, and that's going to somehow help you become a better photographer, which is not true. We're going to talk about it today. I want you to focus on how to make 5K a month as a photographer and get eventually fully booked, because that's going to take you farther, okay, on your journey, especially if you want to be serious about building your photography business. So, and also that this limiting belief that you need, I just need like a better camera and then I can book my clients. I just need like a better lens and I'll be like the better photographer. I just need this feature in my camera and then I can finally get the best pictures and become, wildly successful photographer. So honestly, what those beliefs are, they just another form of procrastinating, right? And not doing the work that needs to be done to actually go get those clients and get better at photography and get more creative than, other photographers in your area, for example, in photography and in business. So all of those, thoughts in your head, they're just preventing you from actually going and doing the things that matter. And then we're going to push you forward in your business. So you're kind of like stuck in that limbo when you're just like trying to talk yourself out of the things that are scary for you maybe at this point. Okay, this is just your brain. Again, we're going to talk about your brain and how it works a lot in this series, because I just went through a wild journey myself in the past 2-3 years, and I learned so much. And it's a lot of like crazy simple things, but they're so true, especially when you see yourself doing things and you notice yourself doing things, because it's hard to separate yourself, your ego, from your brain. So, and your brain is designed the way so it's trying to keep you safe. So if something's not comfortable, your brain will try to talk you out of it in a way. So you have to get very creative and kind of like get a little bit of courage to push through those limiting beliefs, because this is what they are. Okay. So once you let go of that limiting belief that you actually need to go get let's save another $5,000 to get like the most expensive camera in the world, and another like $5,000-$10,000 on the lenses, and you need to have 5 different lenses to become a professional photographer, to be better at photography. Once you let that go, you can actually focus on what will move your business and get your business off the ground. So you can actually invest in your education, into learning more about how business works. You can actually invest more in your marketing, so you can go get those clients. You can start more networking more, so you can go get those clients. And also, and I'm big on that, especially in the beginning of your journey, instead of thinking about what else do I need, and like I need to spend so much money in order to be the professional photographer, right? And have my business and have my paying clients. I want you to focus on keeping your expenses to the minimum in the beginning. Because first of all, it's a risk. You don't know if that, the whole being a photographer is a thing for you. Look at how many other people who bought like expensive equipment and not doing anything with it. So it's just the money spent, and they're not bringing you other money. If you're using it for your hobby, that's fine. But again, if you are here, you're probably serious about building your photography business, and you want to make at least $5,000 a month or more as a photographer and get fully booked eventually. So that's what we're talking about. So again, we're going to save on unnecessary equipment expenses, because if you're not bringing the money into the business, we want to keep the initial investment into your business, which is the camera equipment, to the minimum. And again, like I've been saying it a lot of times, and I'm going to say it again, photography business is, it's very unique and it's amazing, because there's like a low entry level. So it's like, it's a blessing, but at the same time, it's, it brings a lot of people in the industry who have no business being a photographer, calling themselves a photographer, unfortunately, just because there's no, gatekeepers, or there's very low barrier. So all you need is a camera, calling yourself a photographer, you can start charging for your photography technically. But that's not what I teach here. Okay. I still want you to be an amazing photographer. I want you to provide beautiful experience for your clients. But I feel like a lot of photographers who actually do have a good heart, and they have, the skill set that's needed, a lot of times you kind of like get in a place of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to even charge for my pictures? My camera is not even good enough. So it's part of your imposter syndrome, right? It's just an excuse. So I want you to, look past that excuse. So if you are doing it right now, stop. Okay. You can say, okay, that's just my brain talking to me. Ksenia told me it's okay to take pictures, professional pictures with the camera that I have, as long as you can provide consistent results. Okay. So another benefit that you're going to get if you let go of that belief, you can actually start spending money on what matters. And one of the things, especially in the beginning, that you're going to spend a lot of time or money or both on is your education, because in the end of the day, it's not your camera that's taking the picture, right? Even though it's just a piece of equipment. It's the same as, well, you probably heard this analogy a lot, and then we can do any other analogy as well. So there's like brushes and there's paints, but anybody can use them. Anybody can mix colors, right? But it doesn't mean everybody's an amazing artist. It's just not how it works. So you need to know how to work with your equipment, but at the same time, everything is in your head and in your vision, and nobody can have the same creative vision as you do, okay? Because you have to have the eye for things, and you have to know what looks beautiful to you. And if what looks beautiful to you looks beautiful to other people, then you're going to book a lot of clients for yourself, because they want to get the same kind of look that you are able to provide for them. Okay. And also, once you remove that mindset block and you actually start owning and developing your talent, you're going to be focusing your time, your money, everything on the things that matter in your in growing as a photographer and growing your photography business as well. Okay, because like we said, in the end of the day, it's not the camera that takes the pictures, it's the person behind the camera. Because when I started my photography business back in, I started back in Russia, so it was 2011, 2012, right? It was a long time ago. And at the time, I was a student, I didn't have any money, so I had the cheapest camera, consumer level camera that I could get at the time, which was $400 Rebel 5X. I don't know how it's called in the American market. It was like Canon 450D for European market. To me, it was an amazing camera because it was taking pictures. Back in the day, though, there was not as much variety, and it was not available to general public as much. So it was just like one of the first line of DSLRs that Canon, Nikon, and Sony were producing. Now, I feel like a lot of photographers are confused because there's so much, and you kind of like, so if I pay more, do I get a better camera? That means that I'm going to be a better photographer? Is that the question? And the truth is, it's not. Like, you can get away with owning a cheaper camera maybe, but because it's a model, especially if it's like one of the latest versions of, some of the not so expensive cameras, it's still going to be producing beautiful, decent results if you know how to use it right. And if you use it with, I'd rather you spend money on the lenses, for example, if you have the budget, rather than investing into the most expensive camera. Okay. And also think about all of those, photographers back in the day, from like 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, there was just film cameras, and they were not doing, even 10% of the things that my modern camera can do. And can you say that those pictures are not beautiful? Yes, it was harder to take a picture. So that's why being a photographer and being an amazing photographer, it was harder to get there just because of the technical skill level. But again, if you're creative enough, and if you know how to use the camera, like even the basics of the camera, you can take beautiful pictures with pretty much any camera. Now we're just a little bit more spoiled because we can see the picture on the back of your camera right away, and we don't have to wait for the result. So you can correct things as you go. So that's why it's like so much easier and so much faster that you can learn things, because you can learn on the spot. You're like, okay, that's not working, I need to change this. Back in the day, and I did film photography when I was like 12 to 15 years old, you have to wait at least a day, or sometimes a few days or a week, until you develop the film. And then you remember, I did that setting wrong. So next time, which is going to be, I don't know when, I'll have to do differently. So the learning curve, which was much longer, was taking longer. So again, coming back to the belief that you can't book your photography clients if you don't own the top-notch equipment. This is not true, okay? And the better camera doesn't make you a better photographer, okay? Also, you might know, and maybe you have friends like this, or maybe you one of those people who spend a ton of money on expensive photography equipment, but you may not be a professional photographer, or they may not be a professional photographer, but they think that if they get the most expensive camera, the pictures magically will become, like award-winning photography work. Which, does that happen a lot? No, they still produce the generic results because they don't know how to work with the camera. They don't know how to work with the light. They don't know anything about posing, colors, editing, anything like that. Because a lot of my photography clients, they would ask me, "Oh, what kind of camera do you use?" And I do have nice cameras, like, I'm not gonna lie. But back in the day when I had like cheaper camera, I was really embarrassed of like telling them, because sometimes my clients would come and they're like, "Oh, I have the same camera," or they would have better cameras than I do, and I'm like, "I suck. Oh my god, like, why would you come to me if you have better camera?" Right? But it's not like, it doesn't mean anything. They could have the better camera, the better lens. They could spend $20,000 on their photography equipment and do nothing with it, or have no idea how to use it. And I've had those, clients where, for example, there was a woman that I was working with for her pictures, for her website, for her business. And I was taking her pictures, and her husband has exact same camera and same lens. And guess what? Like, his pictures were not even close to what we were able to do, because I knew how to pose her, how to light the picture, how to set up the settings, whether when he was just like pressing the button and he was doing some editing in Photoshop, but it was not good. So that's, again, coming back to that myth that you don't have to have the most expensive. You just need to know how to use what you already have. Okay. So also, I believe that if you are a photographer, you need to know and learn your basics of photography and how cameras work, so you can go take pictures technically with any camera. Now it's so much easier, again, like, we are kind of like a little bit more spoiled. So that's one of the reasons why we see so many people flooding the photography industry and trying to become professional photographers, which is not a bad thing per se. But I feel like some of the photographers are just like lowering the standards for themselves, and not learning the things that they need to know in order to be called a professional photographer. So they don't know how the camera works. They kind of like, cheat their way around it, which is okay. Like, there's no judgment or anything. But I think that as a photographer, you need to know how to work with any camera. So I still have the first camera that I owned, and I still have my Canon 5D Mark II, which is still working. It's a great camera. It's really old, so I wouldn't use it for everyday shoots, but if I had to use it, and actually that happened one time, because I was trading my camera. So I just recently traded my Canon what is it, R6 for Canon R5. So I have an R5 now that I'm shooting most of the time with. And my other camera was, so I also have 5D Mark III. So I'm not, I'm here to teach you, use what you have. And here I am owning all of the top cameras at the time, because I was searching for like the best one. But anyway, and I was using it so one of the cameras I was using for the video. I had to use it for the video. And I had to take pictures with something else, right? And the only one that I had was my Canon 5D Mark II. So, and the pictures look beautiful. Like, it's hard to take a picture with this camera because there's not as many focal points, and you have to do a lot of things kind of manually in a way. It still has autofocus and everything, but still you need to move the focal point by yourself. And the colors, like the screen is like a little ugly. The color's a little off and like dull and dark, so you can't really tell if it looks good. But you look on the screen and the picture looks beautiful, as long as you did the rest of the things right, the settings and the lighting and everything. So I was doing weddings, I was doing, portrait shoots with it, and it worked just fine for me. So I actually gave up at some point because I was using it so much. So I burned it out. So I had to upgrade to the next one. But I fixed it. I took it to the shop. I was like, that was my first, real full frame camera. I have to make it work. And it's going to be it was my backup camera back in the day. So I fixed it. The circuit was burned out. So they had to replace it, and I still have it and it still works. So, and I actually gave it to a friend of mine who was learning photography. So she was using it to learn, which it was really challenging and hard for somebody who it's, when you go from having your iPhone, 13 to using this old chunk of equipment and learning the basics of photography. That was interesting to watch, but it's doable. So anyways, yes, better cameras are when it's more modern camera, it makes things easier for you, right? I'm not gonna argue with that. It is easier now. That's why I keep upgrading my cameras, because I want faster results, less time, because in the end of the day you kind of saving on the time of the session. And also what I've had issues with in the past with some of the older cameras, older lens, is the focus. So sometimes I was missing on the focus, and sometimes 4 out of 10 pictures were out of focus, and how you just missing on the results. So I felt like I had to overshoot just to compensate for that, cutting down on the images that were out of focus. That's why I had to upgrade to R6 and R5 when it's eye autofocus feature and all of those new things. I don't even use it to the full potential probably, but I just love that how it makes things easier for me. However, I'm not saying that you need to have the top notch equipment, and some of the consumer level cameras, so they're not the top of the line. For example, for Canon there will be, I don't know, what is it, 90D, 70? I don't even know what kind of cameras on the market, because I'm not in the market for buying camera. That's why when photographers come to me, I ask what kind of camera should I buy? I'm I have no idea, honestly. I don't know what to say. Just buy the one that you can afford right now, and then you'll figure it out eventually. So anyways, let's talk about what I want you to be focusing and what's actually worth your money spending on right now when you're in the beginning of your journey, especially when you're trying to book your first photography clients, because you can book your clients and you can call yourself a professional photographer. Doesn't matter what camera you own. I mean, it better be something more modern or something that can actually give you great results. But once you can have consistent results with the equipment that you own, then you can call yourself a professional photographer. You can start charging for your work, because you can provide predictable results for your clients, especially if you do something beautiful and you know how to light pose and edit your pictures, you're set for success. Okay. So again, I would rather you invest into your education and learning how to work with the light, how to work with natural light, maybe learn how to use the flash later on. If you want to do studio photography, slowly transition from one to another. It's hard to jump around and learn different things at the same time. Because you need to practice. You can watch as many videos as you want on YouTube. You can buy as many courses, but unless you go out in the field and actually do the work and try different things and settings and make your own mistakes and learn on your own mistakes, you will not be able to retain even half of that information that you just watched. Okay. So give yourself grace and create a journey for yourself and be patient with yourself in that way. So I also want you to learn posing, because sometimes once you kind of good with natural light and you can get a decent shot with natural light. Number 2 that I want you to learn is posing for portrait photography, especially if you work with people. Please learn how to pose them, what are the best angles and all of that, because sometimes posing could be more important than lighting. Even if you can, create yourself, learn how to shoot with one lighting scenario and how to find beautiful light, but it could be the same light consistent, right? Or you can use maybe even just one speed light or something to create the light that you like, and it's going to be consistent for every shoot. it's going to be good enough. It's going to look beautiful. Your work is actually going to look more consistent, which is, one of the definitions of being professional. And the next step is to learn how to pose people, because sometimes lighting you can kind of sort of fix in Photoshop sometimes. So you can brighten things up, even out the shadows and all of that. Pose, if it's off, it's off, especially the angle and the expression. And if somebody's like looking really tense, no amount of editing will fix the picture. So you can take the most amazing picture in the world in terms of how you design the lighting and all of that. And I see that happening a lot. And you have dramatic skies and you just photoshopped everything so it looks just like a magazine cover, just like one of those award-winning pictures. But in the end of the day, if your clients don't like the way they look in the picture, or they look really awkward, or the pose looks like super off, they're not going to buy the picture or it's not going to be good anyways. So what's the point of like doing all of that work if the pose is off? Because I see a lot of photographers who do amazing, like dramatic images, everything looks great, but people look really uncomfortable in those poses, or they just don't know how to pose at all. So it looks really kind of like disbalanced. So it looks really off. Okay. And thing number 3 is the editing, because the editing will set you apart as well. So you need to develop your style, because cameras, in the end of the day, like the way the picture comes out of the camera, they kind of sort of similar. Especially if you do like similar, you're working with the same type of lighting, you kind of do the same poses. So as other photographers in your area, unless you're doing something completely different, which I'm not saying you can do it on camera, but a lot of things, and editing is a big part of what I do. So a lot of things kind of like come to life, and magic is created later in Lightroom, Photoshop, or which other tools you're using to edit your pictures. So again, to sum it up, in the beginning, I would say that you need to figure out your first viable kit of equipment, which could be something very basic. Like for me, I started with one camera, which was a crop sensor camera. It was really old and it was not doing a lot of things. So now you're in a better position because we just live in a different world right now. So technology is completely different. So you can get one camera that you can afford, or something that you already own, so you don't have to spend your money. Okay. I started my photography with like a basic camera. I had the kit zoom lens, and I also later added a 50 millimeter 1.8 that was like less than $100, I think, back in the day. So even if you have that and you can create beautiful pictures with it, go create beautiful pictures. However, eventually, or if you have the budget right now, or eventually once you actually start making some money from paying photography clients, then you can upgrade. And what I would invest the money in, first of all, is better lenses versus the camera, because the camera doesn't make as much difference in the way the picture looks as the lenses will. Okay, the camera will make a difference on how easy it is, or how challenging it is to get beautiful shots fast, because it's the tool that actually lets you like focus and do all of change the settings quickly and all of that. And also it will depend, because the sensor is the main thing inside your camera, right? So we'll give you more flexibility, for example, working with low light situation and all of that. But again, like camera works in conjunction with the lenses. So I think there's more value in lenses 100% than the actual camera. Okay, hope that makes sense. So what I want you to do, again, if you're confused with where to start, what kind of camera equipment to get, I want you first to learn how to get consistent results with what you have. And once you feel that it's not enough, or you kind of like feel that you can invest more to get even better results, then invest into the new equipment and you can upgrade. You can always upgrade. It's not, it's easy, right? But try to learn how to get beautiful pictures with what you have, with like more challenging situation, because once you upgrade, it's just going to become easier in a way, because the better equipment just make our lives easier. It makes, creating beautiful professional work easier, and you spend less time and less effort doing that. And also it expands your horizon. So for example, if you own one lens, you can only do so much with it, right? Especially if you're trapped in indoors, for example. Once you start adding different variety to your lenses or learn how to use with additional lights, it's just going to expand your toolbox for creativity. But again, you can get creative and get beautiful pictures with just one camera, one lens, and one light. That's all you need, or even just natural light. Okay. So if this was helpful for you today, please, pretty please, comment under this video and say it was very helpful. Thank you so much, Ksenia. Join me on my lives on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So on Thursday, we go 3 p.m. live every Thursday. On Tuesday, depends on the schedule sometimes. I don't have a set schedule yet, but make sure to follow me at Ksenia Pro Education on Instagram. This is where I announce all of my lives. And this is where I answer all of the questions, because this is the platform for photographers. So I can help you guys grow, so we can grow together and we can grow a beautiful industry. Thank you so much, Sun Angel Photography. Thank you for being here. If you guys have any questions, I see some questions on YouTube. Or some comments rather. Okay, so Winsome says, I love these talks that you do. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I love that you are here. And I want you guys to be more active, because I can talk for hours, honestly, if you let me, but I'd rather, give you some value. And if you ask a question, that's going to spark a conversation. And sometimes you would ask a question that somebody else was just like thinking in their head, but they either too shy, or they didn't think it mattered to actually ask that question. So you're not going to be helping yourself. You're going to be helping somebody else as well. Or somebody could be watching and rewatching it and recording next year or 3 months from now, and they will be grateful that you asked the question. So ask your questions. I'm here for another few minutes. Okay, imposter syndrome is so real. It's real. It doesn't go anywhere really. You just have to deal with it, and you have to know your way around it and see where, if it's real, if the fear has, the foundation. Why are you afraid to do certain thing? Is it legit? Why are you trying to talk yourself out of it? Or is it just your way of trying to stay comfortable? Because your brain wants you to stay comfortable, have a predictable life, because it's safer that way. But it doesn't mean that it's better for you. Okay. So Nikki Rasta, hi again. Julia Stoltesi asking, I have that problem. I just need to go out and shoot vs buy new gear. Yes, just go out and shoot, and even challenge yourself. So you can create yourself little challenges just to prove yourself that you don't really need that, that expensive piece of gear that you're thinking to buy, because you can get maybe not exactly the same, but similar results with what you already have, as long as you can put the work in, creativity in, and all of that. Okay. And I'm big on getting, just creative, beautiful shots with on a budget. And it comes not just to the equipment, but even to what you spend into buying props, set, and just you see those sometimes. I almost wanted to start a series, or just some just a series of photo shoots of recreating, for example, some of the cover shots of top fashion magazines, but on a budget, and using the things that he had. And honestly, a lot of things that look great on camera in terms of props and stuff, often they're just so simple, So I did this beauty shoot with mirrors, and it looks amazing. Those mirrors don't cost a lot. They cost I don't know, less than $5 each. So we're just using a bunch of them. So it was a beauty shoot around the face, and it looks amazing as long as you know how to light, because it's challenging with lighting. Okay, I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly. Sinura, right? Okay. Lot to learn from you, Ksenia. Love all your videos. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you being active. If you guys watching on YouTube, make sure to follow me on my Instagram as well at Ksenia Pro Education. This is where I post those videos, and I talk a lot. I actually answer all of your questions as well. So you can communicate with me in the stories, in the DMs. And also, if you want to see my just current work and like what's happening in the studio, kind of, I have a separate account, which is at Ksenia Pro Photo. It's more like for clients and just like to post my recent work. All right, I'm waiting for more questions. Let me see. Actually, yeah, no, there's no questions here. Okay, anybody has any questions about, just don't ask me which camera to buy. Okay, I swear to God. You already heard the answer if you started watching this video earlier today. But ask me anything else about photography, business of photography. I'm all yours for another like 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll let you go. Be amazing. And hopefully every time, you join this live, you get a piece of inspiration so you can actually go act on it, because watching the videos will not make you a better photographer, unfortunately. I wish that was the case. It would be so easy, right? But watching those videos help you make the decisions that you had to actually go act on them. So SBR Photography is asking, what lenses for the Sony 7 IV do you recommend? Again, it does not matter. Actually, so the other question, okay. So I own both Canon and Sony cameras. And on my Sony camera, I use my Canon lenses with the, how do you call it? How do you call the thing that you put in between the lens and the camera? So it's like a transmitter, what is it called? Okay, help me out. So basically it doesn't, okay, so first of all, it doesn't matter which brand of the camera or the equipment that they're using. You pick anything that you think is good for you. I started with Canon just because it happened so. And a lot of my friends at the time used Canon, and that's what I like, an adapter. Thank you so much. Okay. Adapter for the lens. Yeah. So the reason why I tried to switch to Sony 2-3 years ago is because back at the time, again, I was looking for the camera that's going to give me the results faster, because I was missing a lot of shots with my current setup for some reason. So like at the time, Canon R6 and R5 were not on the market at all, and Canon cameras did not have the eye tracker, the technology for the autofocusing. Sony did though. So I thought I would need to go for Sony. So I switched to Sony, and I still shoot with Sony camera. So I have Sony Okay, I'm really bad with like numbers and like words today when it comes to equipment. Sony 7R3, that's what I have. And I never got any Sony lenses actually, because I was like, what's the point of me, investing money into the Sony lens? I'm not even sure I'm going to be staying with Sony, which exactly the case. I still have the camera, but I don't have any lenses. And I actually switched back to Canon. That's like my camera of choice right now. So it doesn't matter which exact camera you own. When you're picking the lenses, each, most of the camera producers, the Canon, Sony, Nikon, they would have similar products. So for example, there's always going to be 24 to 72.8 for Nikon, for Sony, for Canon, because this is just the standard lens, right? There's always going to be 35, 24 millimeters, 35, 50 millimeters, 85, and so on, and 70 to 200. So again, what the question is, what kind of photography do you do? Let's start with this. So is BR photography, just tell me like, what do you shoot? Okay. And also, what do you own already? And what are you planning to shoot? What are you kind of struggling with? Because this should be the question. It's not like what exact lens to buy, and also what's your budget. Okay, because when I started, like I kind of knew that I needed, because I thought I wanted to do weddings. So I knew that I needed, for example, for wedding, 24-70 lens, 2.8 preferably, right? And I needed like a longer lens, so 70 to 200, 2.8 preferably. And somewhere in between, just like the prime lens, for example, like 50 or 85, 1.4, 1.8 at least. Okay. So I knew that I needed those things, and then anything, and like a macro lens for like ring shots. So my first weddings here in the US, I had no money. Okay. I had zero money, but I was saving up over the years. So, and I did have some lenses that I brought from Russia, some of the equipment. So I was just reusing it. So I had 70 to 200 4.0, which is not as good as 2.8, but it works. So it worked for me. It did the job that needed to be done. I had 28 to 70 or something like that Tamron lens. So it was like a cheaper version of an expensive lens, 2.8. Again, it was doing the job for the time being, okay? And also I was buying lenses used off of eBay. So that's another thing. If you are on the budget, which I was on a strict budget back in the day, so I couldn't afford like even another $200. For me, it was a big investment. So I was buying used lenses off of eBay. I was making sure in the pictures, when you look in the picture, there's no scratches on the glass itself. You ask the seller to take close-up pictures of the lenses, and they worked fine for me. Most cases, I never had any problems. Because it's much cheaper. At the same time, lenses are not as disposable as a camera, for example. So lens can last you for like 10, 15 years and nothing, unless you drop it, really, truly nothing, can happen to it. And also, I had a 50 millimeter 1.8, which was like a cheap version. And eventually I get 85 millimeter 1.8, which was not that expensive, like $300 or something. And I was producing beautiful results. They were not as good as I could have gotten if I had better equipment, but it's only like 5% worse. You know what I mean? So it's not like, at the time I could not afford better equipment, but I was not charging like as a top photographer in the world either. So I think it was a fair deal. And again, people who invest in you, they're not investing in your equipment as much as they're investing in you and your knowledge and your skill set. Okay, Sun Angel Photography says, not photography related, but how long took you to speak fluent English? It's my second language too. So, I mean, I was learning English ever since I was, 10 years old. So I couldn't say that I had like the perfect pronunciation and all of that. And obviously, like I wasn't as fluent, but my English was decent throughout my high school. Like it was better than most. Let's start with this. So it was, and I think it's naturally for me, it's a little bit easier to like pick up languages. So just to give you like, so don't beat yourself up if it's harder for you. It just, for some people, it comes a little bit more naturally too. Then back in Russia, I actually worked at a place where we had people from the US, UK, Australia, I think too, who would come and work at the company. So we were all kind of hanging out. So I was picking bits. It was not as fluent as today though, but it definitely helped just having like day-to-day conversations on a regular basis. That helped a lot. And once I moved here in the US, I don't know, I just immersed myself eventually because we don't have any family. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody. So the only choice for me was to actually speak English, to actually go, get things done. And it was exciting for me too. So, and even through my work, like I have to deal with a lot of people. So and also when it comes to what was challenging for me though in the beginning, especially like I wanted to become a photographer, or at least like do it for fun, right? So I was doing a lot of just free photo shoots in the beginning. And it was challenging for me to talk to those people because a lot of things I wanted to say and I knew how to say it in Russian, but I didn't know how to direct them in English. How, for example, I didn't know how to say like tilt your head. So you can show things, right? Like that helped me in the beginning, but I wanted to know how to, like, I wanted to be better. I wanted to know how to. So what helped me to learn how to say those things is to actually watch, other photographers' work, watch other photographers' videos, whatever was available to me at the time. Again, like I didn't have any money to like buy any courses or anything like that. I had to learn from like bits and pieces that I could get for free online on YouTube. I was watching a lot of Creative Live. Back in the day, it was like one of the most popular platforms to get your photography education. So I was just watching other photographers that I loved, especially the photographers who I loved how they were speaking. And I was literally writing things down. I swear to God, I had like a little vocabulary for photographers. So that helped me a lot because, next time I would go like do a shoot, I already knew like which exact words to use because it really helps. And for those of you who, English is your first language and you've never been into a foreign country, or try to communicate with the person who doesn't speak English and trying to like direct them into the pose, you cannot truly understand the challenge. But again, like honestly, I don't think you need to speak perfect English to be a photographer, because a lot of things, and I still like, I don't use language as much when I'm trying to pose clients. A lot of things I show, a lot of things actually move them like in a gentle way. So I'm just like literally take their hand and just kind of help them guide it if I feel like they're not getting it right. No matter how many times you try to, and like using language, sometimes explaining things for too long gets people really confused, especially if you say, move your left hand to your shoulder. And I'm like, which left hand, which shoulder? So instead I just put this hand over here. That's it. That's all you need to know, honestly, in terms of English. The other, though, thing where you need language is more like talking to clients and speaking with clients when you're trying to book a client. So that's more challenging. And that, again, like as long as you get enough experience in everyday life and just like watching other people, maybe. So another thing that helped me, I was volunteering at a local art center and I was on the phone, which I had no business being on the phone back in the day. I mean, my pronunciation was okay, but I was really confused sometimes because I couldn't understand. Like one thing is knowing like my grammar was perfect and everything. I knew how to write things, but when you need to think on the spot and just like come up with some answer, or sometimes even I couldn't understand the pronunciation because people talk so fast. And I learned English in like British English, so pronunciation is completely different. And people like chew words here in the US a little bit more. I feel like sometimes I don't get it. So it was hard for me, but it really helped me. It was like a good school of just like, okay, you need to get this done. You need to figure out how to communicate. So again, just put you in, it's not going to be comfortable, but like I said, no good things come from being comfortable. Okay. If you want to keep comfortable, stay where you are, but you're not going to get anything. You're not going to achieve the bigger goals that you might set for yourself. Okay. So that was a little bit, of the out of topic. Okay, adapter. Thank you guys. You were helping me. Love it. Okay, do you have any more questions for me? If not, I'm going to let you go and carry on with your day. So you're saying, Sun Angel photography vocabulary. I don't feel very comfortable yet with English native speakers when it's related to pose them or photography related. I think I already answered to that. You don't need to know how to pose. You just need to be nice enough. And I know photographers who don't speak a lot of English per se, like they speak the basic, but sometimes it's hard. You get to that roadblock when you're trying to translate your native language to English sometimes, and it sounds completely wrong, or you just like you have a minute to think about it, and you kind of like, and there's like this awkward pause, and you're just like, do I say anything or should I just not say anything anymore? So I get it. It's like it's hard, but honestly, people don't care. As long as you create beautiful pictures for them and you're a nice person, it's nice, it feels good being around you, and they really see that you pour your heart and your soul into your work, they would still come and take pictures with you. So that's all you need. And then the rest, like the business side of things, yes, you would need English there 100%. But again, like a lot of things can be written. So you could do emails, text messages instead of being on the phone if that's easier for you for the moment. But again, practice just like speaking, communicating with people on an everyday basis, and you're going to get better. Like whether you want it or not, you will get better. Okay. Any other questions from YouTube, Instagram? It's getting so dark outside, you guys. It's like clouds are, it's so dramatic right now. So that's why it's like so low light in the studio. I didn't put like any extra lights, so it's getting really dark. All right. Thank you so much for today. Join me for another Coffee with Ksenia. We're going to be going live every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to go live both on YouTube and Instagram. So pick the platform of your choice, and I will see you here again. Again, if you want to follow me for the updates, follow me on Instagram at Ksenia Pro Education. And you can ask me any questions. I actually post the open question boxes in my stories every day. And also, if you want to just follow my work and see what's happening behind the scenes, just like what's happening in my world, follow me at Ksenia Pro Photo. Okay. If you watching me on Instagram and you haven't seen my YouTube videos yet, I highly recommend. A lot of people getting a lot of value from those videos, and some of my lives are getting posted on my YouTube as well. So find me at Ksenia Pro Photography on YouTube. And it was a pleasure being here with you. I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay.